Your Eminences, dear fathers, sisters, and brothers in Christ, today's open public lecture on the way towards the celebration of the 1700th anniversary of the First Ecumenical Council. And we will have a discussion among His Eminence Metropolitan of Pisidia, Job, who will speak immediately after my short introduction. And then we will expect His Eminence Efstratios from the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, and later the two responders, Reverend Dr. Ihor Shaban of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, and Reverend Dr. Adalberto Mainardi from the Catholic Church, member of the famous ecumenical community of Boze. So for a common celebration of Pascha and Christmas in a way by all Christians, there is a common desire of the primates of the Catholic Church, His Holiness Pope Francis, and of the Orthodox Church, His All Holiness Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew, to celebrate in 2025, in 2 years' time, in other words, Easter together in Nicaea of Bithynia, co-celebrating, as I said, the 1700th anniversary of the First Ecumenical Council, which that year, in 2025, coincides with on the same date in the Julian and Gregorian calendars. It is time, therefore, for Orthodox Christians to follow in the steps of both His Holiness Pope Francis and His All Holiness Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew, and start discussing again the important issue of a common celebration of the major feasts of Christianity, Easter, first of all, as well as the other major Christmas and Epiphany and so on, the other major feasts of Christianity, beyond any prejudices and misinterpretations of the historical and canonical data. The calculation, however, according to the spirit of the First Ecumenical Council of that day, requires the use of a more accurate calendar beyond the Julian, the old calendar, in other words, and the Gregorian, the currently in use by most Orthodox churches for the unmovable holidays, as well as more accurate scientific, astrological, in other words, calculations. Moreover, the Holy and Great Council of the Orthodox Church, held in the island of Crete some 8 years ago, in June 2016, has decreed at the highest doctrinal level, we can say that, and I quote, "For the Orthodox Church, the ability to explore the world scientifically is a gift from God to humanity," end of quote. This is from the mission of the Orthodox Church document. And in her message, Urbi et Orbi, it assured that, and I quote again, "in regard to the matter of the relations between Christian faith and the natural sciences, the Orthodox Church avoids placing scientific investigation under tutelage and does not adopt a position on every scientific question. She thanks God who gives to scientists the gift of uncovering unknown dimensions of divine creation. The modern development of the natural sciences and of technology is bringing radical changes in our life. It brings significant benefits, such as facilitation of everyday life. That is from end of quote, from paragraph 7 of the mission of the message to the world of the Holy and Great Council. In other words, the Orthodox, in both confessional and real sense, the Orthodox Pascha should be celebrated every year on the first Sunday after the astrologically calculated first full moon after the vernal equinox, in the spirit of the First Ecumenical Council, and equally Christmas and all the other immovable feasts. Last year, CEMES organized an interconfessional and interdisciplinary international symposium on Sunday, April 4th, the day of celebration of Pascha in Western Christianity, and symbolically, I would say, that year, the Sunday of the veneration of the Holy Cross of the Orthodox Church, in which meeting theologians and natural scientists wonder whether the Orthodox celebrate Pascha that year in accordance with the Holy Tradition, and specifically with the decision of the First Ecumenical Council of Nicaea, namely 1 month after the Easter of the Christians of the West. Ironically enough, all extreme conservative Orthodox prefer a calendar named after a pagan emperor, Julian, rather than one named after a Christian Pope, Gregory. At this point, it is worth noting the practical and pastoral at the same time, but also deeply ecumenical decision of the Catholics and the evangelicals in Greece to celebrate Pascha not with their fellow believers all over the world, but together with the Orthodox. Similar was the concern of the Greek Catholics in Ukraine, the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, who, contrary to the decision of the Autocephalous Church there, the Orthodox Church of Ukraine, considering at that period to change to celebrate Christmas with most of the Christian world, they decided at least to follow the majority of Ukrainians who are, as we all know, mostly Orthodox. Our panelists today, Metropolitan Professor Job from the Ecumenical Patriarchate, Metropolitan Efstratios from the Autocephalous Orthodox Church of Ukraine, Reverend Professor Ihor Shaban from the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, and Dr. Adalberto Mainardi from the Catholic Church and member of, as I said, of the Ecumenical Monastery of Boze. All this will analyze this issue following the desire, as I said, of the bishops of the Old and the New Rome. We have 1 hour period in this open public lecture of the Center of Ecumenical, Missiological and Environmental Studies, who took care to organize this Zoom meeting, which, by the way, is also, if I am not mistaken, transmitted through the YouTube channel of CEMES. And immediately I give the floor to His Eminence Metropolitan of Pisidia, Professor Job.
Thank you, Professor Vassiliadis. Thank you for introducing the topic. And I would like just to start with underlying that indeed in the year 2025, in 2 years, we will celebrate the 1,700 years of the First Ecumenical Council. And this Ecumenical Council is extremely important for the life of the Church for various reasons. And one reason, among various reasons, is that the First Ecumenical Council has established a common date for celebrating the day of Pascha. As you know, today, all Christians do not celebrate Pascha on the same date. But, and this is the paradox, all the churches are following the decision of the First Ecumenical Council of Nicaea 325. So, if everybody is following the decision, why is there a diversity? Why is there a difference in the date of Easter, of Pascha? Well, the reason, as you will see from my brief presentation, I will explain it, is a problem that we are not using the same tools. There is a problem. The Orthodox, to determine the date of Pascha, are using the Julian calendar, which is behind the astronomic reality. As far as the Western world, the Roman Catholics and the churches of the Protestant Reform, they are following the Gregorian calendar, which is a more precise, a more updated calendar. The question of the revision of the calendar, the revision of the Julian calendar, which is behind the astronomic data, the astronomic reality, is an old issue. I will share my screen. I will share a few slides in order to understand better. The first, you see, the issue of the calendar reform already started from 1902. The Ecumenical Patriarch Joachim III sent an encyclical to the primates of the local Orthodox churches, asking them their opinion about the possibility of a calendar reform. This text has been published. You can find it on the internet. Further on, in 1920, in the very famous Encyclical of the Ecumenical Patriarchate onto the Churches of Christ Everywhere, which has what is one of very important encyclical for the ecumenical movement, and it was a prophetic appeal to found what is known today as the World Council of Churches. In that encyclical, there is an appeal to common efforts between the Christian churches, and one of the appeals is to have a uniform calendar for the celebration of the great Christian feasts at the same time by all churches. Later on, 3 years later, there was a pan-Orthodox meeting in Constantinople, and at this meeting of Constantinople, very well-known Serbian scientists, Milutin Milanovic, established a new calendar, which is even more precise than the Gregorian calendar, because the Gregorian calendar since the 16th century is also a little bit behind the astronomic reality. This Milanovic calendar was adopted since 1923 by different local Orthodox churches, the churches of Estonia, Finland, Ecumenical Patriarchate, Church of Cyprus, Church of Greece, Church of Poland, Church of Romania, Patriarchate of Alexandria, of Antioch, the Church of Albania, the Church of Bulgaria. And these churches, until today, most of these churches are using this new calendar for the fixed feasts, for the fixed feasts like the feast of Christmas. But for the feast of Pascha, with the exception of the Church of Finland, all the other churches are still determining the date of Pascha according to the Julian calendar and according to old Paschalian table. The question of the revision of the calendar was once again mentioned and required at the Inter-Orthodox Pre-Synod at the monastery of Vatopedi in 1930. It was mentioned with a very long catalogue of topics that ought to be discussed at the Holy and Great Council of the Orthodox Church. In 1961, there was the first Pan-Orthodox Conference of Rhodes, which established a very long catalogue for the Holy and Great Council. And we find the question of the calendar, the reform of the calendar at that meeting. Once again, then in 1976, the first pre-conciliar Pan-Orthodox Conference in Chambesy, in Geneva, established 10 points for the agenda of the Holy and Great Council, and one of these 10 points was the questions of the calendar and the common celebration of Easter. Now, why is there a difference today among Christian churches? Well, as I said, according to the definition of the First Ecumenical Council, is to celebrate Pascha, Easter, on the first Sunday after the full moon, after the spring equinox. So you need a Sunday, you need a spring full moon. Now, we have to have the date of the spring. The spring starts with the spring equinox. What is the date of the spring equinox? Well, if you are determining the date according to the Julian calendar, the date of spring is not March 21st, but is April the 3rd, because it's 13 days later. So, which means that you cannot have Pascha before April the 3rd, according to the Julian calendar, even though you will see a full moon, a spring full moon in the sky. Also, the date of the full moon is not taken from the full moon you actually see on the sky with your eyes, but it's a date which is given in tables, in very old tables that are outdated, the old Paschalia table. So, here I give you the example of the old Paschalia. To determine, for example, the date of Easter this year for the Orthodox Church, you have to have the golden number, which is deducted from the cycle of the months of Methon. It's in very antique astronomy. It was supposed that during 19 Earth years, there are exactly 335 lunar months. And to determine this golden number, you have to divide the year according to the Byzantine calculation, which is considered to be the so-called year from the creation of the world. Of course, this is completely not realistic according to the scientific data that we have today, but this is how the years were calculated in Byzantine time. So basically you have to add 5,508 years to the current year. So for this year we have we are in 2023. If you add 5,508, it gives you 7,531. So according to the ancient Byzantine compute, we are now in the year 7,531 from Adam, from the creation. If you divide it by 19, which is this cycle of earthly years, it gives you 396, and it remains 7. 7 will be the golden number which you need to see in the column at your left, and you have to go to see the line 7. But then you have to know also the cycle of the sun. That was for the cycle of the moon. You need to see the cycle of the sun. And it was considered that each year, as an assigned number, there is 20, according to 20-year solar cycle. So if you divide the year 7,531 from the creation of the world by 28, it gives you 268 and remains 27. So the number 27 will be the number you have to check in the column on the right. So if you go on the line of the 7 in the table and you move until the number 27, it will give you the date of April the 3rd. This will be the date of Pascha in the year 7,531. But 3rd of April, according to the Julian calendar, which correspond to April 16 in the Gregorian calendar. And this is how we have the dates of Easter for this year, which correspond to April 16. So as you see, this calculation is completely abstract calculation. All these numbers do not correspond to any reality today. Of course, when these tables were made several centuries ago, they were made by the best astronomers with the best astronomic data that people used to have in those days. But these tables are completely outdated today. As a difference, the Westerners calculate the date of Easter with the same formula coming from the First Ecumenical Council, but using the modern astronomical data. This year, the spring equinox fell on March 20th. The spring equinox is already behind us. And the first full moon, which appears after the spring equinox, was actually yesterday, on April the 6th. If you observe the sky yesterday, and you may observe the sky, I invite you to observe the sky also tonight, you will see the full moon. This is the spring full moon. So, the first Sunday coming after that full moon is this Sunday, April the 9th. So this is why the Western Christians will celebrate Easter this Sunday. And this explains, because we are using outdated data, that according to our outdated data, we have the result of the Sunday in 1 week later, and this explains why there is this year a difference of 1 week between the two celebrations. So as you can see, it's the same feasts, determined by the same formula coming from the First Ecumenical Council, but we have different results because we use different data. One data is accurate, the other data is inaccurate according to the astronomical phenomena that we can observe. So, why don't we just correct our data according to the reality? Well, this is already an attempt that has been made in 1977. There was a preparatory meeting of Orthodox astronomers in Chambesy near Geneva, which actually prepared a new Paschalia using the contemporary most accurate astronomical data. And also, following that meeting, there was a meeting organized by the World Council of Churches on the common date of Easter in 1997 in Aleppo, and it recommended to remain faithful to the rule, to the principle, to the formula of the First Ecumenical Council, but to use the most accurate scientific data for determining the date according to that formula. And also, as you may know, astronomical data also may differ from the perspective from which you look at the moon, at the sun. So it depends where you are on Earth, the data might be a little bit different. So they said that we should align ourselves to the meridian of Jerusalem, not the meridian of Greenwich, which corresponds to nothing in our faith, but to align ourselves on the meridian of Jerusalem, which is the place of crucifixion and resurrection of Christ. So that was a wish. In 1977, the preparatory meeting of the Orthodox astronomers did its work in perspective of the Holy and Great Council. But in 2016, the synaxes of the primates of the Orthodox churches, which met in Chambesy and which have decided to convene the Holy and Great Council on Crete in 2016, have decided that the question of the calendar reform and of the common date for Pascha will not be discussed at the council, because they said that the faithful were not well prepared, were not prepared enough. So where do we stand now? Well, we stand at the point that we need to prepare our people, our believers, and this is what we do. This is what precisely we are doing right now at the moment with this webinar. And we hope that in the future, the Orthodox Church will gather another Holy and Great Council, and that a decision will be taken then. Thank you for your attention. I don't wish to speak longer. I think it's much more interesting to have a discussion at our round table.
Thank you, Your Eminence. Allow me to go deeper into your presentation, starting from the famous preconciliar meeting, or the synaxes of the primates just before the convention of the Holy and Great Council in 2016. And a little bit question or at least analyze the reasons beyond what you said, that for pastoral reasons and because the faithful are not prepared, this insistence was made mainly by the Russian Orthodox Church, probably because they had some internal problems from the more conservatives or more fundamentalists and so on and so forth, not wishing any rapprochement or reconciliation with Western Christianity. And I think that the Ecumenical Patriarchate and many other churches that followed the Ecumenical Patriarchate proposal were to introduce into the agenda of the Holy and Great Council, because we had, as you said, excellent preparation by the Greek.
Professor, you're muted. Yeah, okay.
And am I okay?
Yes,
I
now
received
yes,
that's why sometimes yeah. Okay. And this is very important to see how after having organized 3 meetings 2 years ago, last year, again with the presentation by His Eminence Metropolitan of Pisidia, and this year, at least to take some action to make, and this is my recommendation to the president of the current president of CEMES, to issue again, remind the Ecumenical Patriarchate about the necessity on the basis of what we have heard. And this is extremely important for us because the 1700th anniversary is approaching, and we Orthodox should be as faithful as possible to the decision of that great, holy and great as it was called, council, the first Ecumenical Council. This is something very urgent and very important. I don't know whether Father Ihor has joined. I don't see him. If he is not, I would like His Eminence to go a little bit further till the other people who were invited in this panel will join in. If they are, please, Nikos, give them the floor. Otherwise,
Adalberto Mainardi was for some minutes, but now I don't see him now. So I guess His Eminence can continue after. I'd like also to congratulate it. I mean, the analysis was excellent, and definitely would like to to see it again and again. And I will ask him if it is possible to share also his PowerPoint presentation in order to upload it in our social media. It's really interesting, the data that he provided. Thank you very much, Your Eminence.
And because he is a member of the Ecumenical Council, Ecumenical Patriarchate, we would like to request him also to make an appeal again to see again in a conciliar way the Ecumenical Patriarchate, to discuss again and see how we can proceed towards this common celebration in 2025, which is very important and will be at least the meeting, as they said, the meeting between the Pope and the Patriarch in Nicaea, in Bithynia, those days, which will be broadcasted everywhere. And again, I am afraid the Orthodox will be again the object of disagreement. Your Eminence.
Yes. As I think it's important to underline several things in this within this issue, this question. First of all, I think it's very important to understand that we do not have the intention to change the way the date of Pascha. Nobody intends to change the decision of the First Ecumenical Council. In fact, all the churches follow the decision of the First Ecumenical Council, and we should all remain, should stay with this definition. Nobody has the right to change a decision from an Ecumenical Council. And this is why the celebration, the common celebration of the First Ecumenical Council is so important, to understand that we are following a decision of an Ecumenical Council. The second thing is that the Orthodox have to realize that their data is behind the astronomic reality. I mean, I will give you a very simple example. If you have a problem with your watch, if your watch is 15 minutes later behind or 1 hour behind, do you need an Ecumenical Council to fix it? I mean, if your watch is behind the time, well, you will get late to all your meetings, and you will look very funny in front of people. And it's your obligation just to either repair your watch if there's a technical problem, or just fix it in order to have the proper time. Also, we know very well that when we are traveling between countries, for example, right now it's after 6 o'clock in Greece, it's after 6 o'clock in Turkey, but it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon somewhere else in Western Europe. And in America, it's still noon or morning, depending on where you are. And when you're traveling, you just adjust your watch to correspond to the reality of the place where you are. So this is what we Orthodox ought to do. We have to update our data, update our tables, update our calendar, so that our data could correspond to the astronomic reality. Because all the decision, you see, this is also one very important thing. The decision of the First Ecumenical Council is very important and is, we can say, eternal, because the First Ecumenical Council referred itself not to a specific calendar, but refer itself to phenomena, natural phenomena. It refers to the spring equinox. The spring equinox is a very concrete phenomenon. It's the day of the year where the day is as long, exactly as long as the night. 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night. This is what is the spring equinox. And of course, it's a phenomenon we can observe with our eyes. And it's referring also to the first full moon, which happens to be after that equinox. And once again, the full moon is something you can observe with your eyes looking at the sky in the evening. So the decision of the First Ecumenical Council refer to concrete astronomic phenomena. And what we have in our books or in our tables has to be precisely corresponding to those phenomena. And that's why we need to revise these tables in order that they may correspond. Now, the work has been done. Everything was ready. that the new Paschalia could be implemented in 2016 at the Holy and Great Council, and Professor Vassiliadis stated very correctly that there was this fear from the delegation of the Church of Russia that the calendar reform would create a new schism in the Church. Well, in order to avoid a new schism, you have to educate the faithful, you have to explain what you are doing, and this is what we ought to do. I see Father Ihor has joined us.
Yes, actually, I'd like to give the floor to
It would be nice to hear his voice.
Exactly, yes. Father Ihor, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be in such a good group of very important people in the church. I just came from the church also because we have a liturgy, and because today we have a feast of Annunciation of Mary. About the theme we are talking about, as we all know that soon we will celebrate this anniversary of the Council of Nicaea, and for sure it can serve as a fruitful occasion to encourage and confirm us on our journey to unity, because it is a symbol, as well as this anniversary offers an opportunity to reflect on what the churches have said and done together for these years before. And even if we say sometimes that unity will be in eschaton, maybe somewhere not today, but the path to unity is also very important. And also Patriarch Bartholomeus said about that. As you probably know, a few weeks ago, the Synod of Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church has decided to move away from the old Julian calendar, which is presently used almost exclusively by the Russian Orthodox Church. Maybe I think in Poland they are back to the, but I'm not sure. But Greek Catholics will continue to celebrate Easter on a later date according to the old calendar, as it doing all Orthodox churches in the world. The reason for this is that Catholics and the Orthodox Church are still discussing about finding a common date for Easter, as we heard Bishop Getcha told us right now. We hope that agreement can be reached by 2025, we hope, during the celebration of this anniversary of the Council of Nicaea. For sure, Paschalia, by which the Byzantine Church live, has its pluses and minuses. But of course, even Paschalia that Roman Catholic Church using, Gregorian Paschalia, is also not perfect. And in preparation for the anniversary of the Council of Nicaea, a dialogue between Rome and Constantinople about celebrating Easter on the same day can be very important. So from this year, the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church has its will be celebrate Christmas on the 25th of December, because the changeover will take effect on September the 1st. We will start this new calendar, new Julian calendar from the September the 1st. But we also decided to leave the possibility to remain on the old calendar for those few parishes that are not ready yet. So this transition will come gradually. And want to inform you that today 90% of Ukrainian Greek Catholics in Ukraine are in favor of the reform, because abroad our church for a long period of time are living under the new calendar. As you also probably know,
on behalf of the Orthodox Church of Ukraine, because they have similar feelings. Unfortunately, we don't have Metropolitan Efstratios together with us, because you said Ukraine, the majority of Ukrainians.
I'm talking about the Greek Catholics right now.
Yeah.
Because
What is the situation about the Ukrainians in general?
I saw that Bishop Zoria will be here and he will represent his church. But as if you want me to say a few words also in general, I think mostly in Ukraine, people are ready to live with a new calendar when the 25th of December will be very right date for Christmas time. I'm not sure about the Easter. We have very different voices in Ukraine right now. Some people are ready to go to Gregorian calendar and celebrate together with the Western Europe, but we understand that we are living in mostly Orthodox country. And the Greek Catholics as Orthodox in its general, we want to be together with our brothers from the Orthodox Ukrainian Church. We have time up to May, I think, because in May they will have a synod and they will decide something. We don't really know what. We are waiting for some reforms in Ukrainian Orthodox Church. What I wanted also to stress, probably you know, the last year in December, a few months ago, His Beatitude Sviatoslav has meeting with His Beatitude Epiphanius, where they discussed about reforming the church calendar. And after discussion, His Beatitude Sviatoslav proposed to create a Ukrainian joint working group to study this issue comprehensively. And you see, it's 4 months or even 5. We're still waiting for the answer from the Orthodox brothers. They are keeping silence. We even created already our membership for this commission. We sent a letter. I personally give this letter to Metropolitan Epiphany, and we have no answer back from this church. In our mind, this working group should develop specific proposal for the synod of both church, especially in the context of preparation for the celebration this anniversary of the First Ecumenical Council, because we understand that in 325 it's laid down the calendar principles of church life and was decided on the method for determining of the date of Easter. So right now, the Greek Catholics did this step, and we have a new calendar from the 1st of September we will start. And we're still waiting for 2 points. We're waiting for the decision of the Orthodox Church of Ukraine, Metropolitan Epiphany. And we're still waiting for some answer for this group, joint working group, only for the calendar questions. I am not talking about the wider one, because for the wider one, it is already 4 years ago we proposed to Metropolitan Epiphany to create some experts group that can be like an umbrella for different kind of questions, but we're still waiting for that. Besides, we had a third proposal also to reborn this Kievan study group, Kievan church study group, that we want also to continue its work, and we also still waiting. But we have answer from Metropolitan Emmanuel that Constantinople Patriarchate is ready to continue this way, but we're still waiting from Ukrainian Orthodox Church the answer.
Thank you, Reverend Ihor. Now let ask His Eminence again to round up our discussion.
Well, to round up the discussion, I think that there is some hope. It's always good to end up a discussion on a positive note. There is some hope. The first point, the first positive note or which gives us hope, is that people are speaking more and more and more on these issues, which is very good. I mean, we cannot, in order to solve a problem, you have first of all to identify the problem, to be conscious of the problem. It's only then that you can solve it. So slowly, people are starting to be conscious of the problem. So it gives us hope that it can be solved. The second positive note is that the year 2025, with the occasion of the 1,700 years of the First Ecumenical Council, on which, by chance, the two dates of Pascha will coincide, because there will be no difference in the results. It gives us an opportunity to celebrate the fact that we will have Easter on the same day, and it will also be for us an opportunity to remind the people and explain what the First Ecumenical Council has done in the past in order that we might have a common celebration of the date of Easter. And the third very positive note, I think we are following, it was nice to hear Father Ihor, we are following with great interest the developments in Ukraine, and we see that in Ukraine there is a positive developments towards a calendar reform on both sides, on the side of the Ukrainian Greek Catholics and also on the side of the Ukrainian Orthodox, which is a good example, and perhaps many other countries can take this example and follow it.
Thank you. Because the optimistic, the positive development you mentioned, it was expressed also just after the celebration of Christmas, according to the way we celebrate the 25 of December, by the Metropolitan Epiphanios, who decided in a conciliar way to ask the congregations whether they wish to also follow either 25th of December or 7th of January. We haven't heard any further news from this. What was the feeling of the congregations of the Orthodox Church of Ukraine? Unfortunately, His Eminence Metropolitan Efstratios could not manage because he had probably also some liturgical obligations. Anyhow, on my part, I would like to thank especially His Eminence for his presentation, and on behalf of the Center of Ecumenical Missiological and Environmental Studies, I would propose in the next executive committee to write an appeal to His All Holiness in view of what we have discussed, and remind the importance of doing something before the celebration, the common celebration in 2025. And also I thank Father Ihor. Nikos, now you are...
Yeah, thank you very much as well. It's always enlightening. It's really a topic that interests our center. I remember we had this discussion both equally with His Holiness Patriarch Bartholomew and with His Holiness Pope Francis, and both, at least as far as I'm concerned, were very looking forward for the meeting in Nicaea, and hopefully it will be for good. My personal view is that we have to definitely concentrate our efforts and understanding on how the God-bearing fathers of the council, they hail from different tribes and regions, and they're speaking different languages and had different customs and modes of expression as well, and they achieved actually a successful outcome through the ability to find a common ground and strike a balance back then. So yeah, definitely we heard what our President of Honor said, and definitely would like also to propose it in our already in the General Assembly that will start in a few minutes from now. So also from my behalf, I wish you all καλή Ανάσταση and καλή Μεγάλη Εβδομάδα. And we're looking forward to see you again here again at the Open Public Lectures of CEMES.